Hey guys, welcome to Reading with Mo. Today we're going to be talking about all the books that I read for the Read-EH-Thon, which is a read-a-thon ran by Kayla from Books and Lala, who does this read-a-thon where everybody reads books written by Canadian authors. There's a whole bunch of co-hosts they had this year too, and there's like all these challenges, a bingo board and everything. I think I did make one bingo, like the bottom row of the bingo board, but I'm not for sure because I ended up not really like checking in with that during the week. So I had 7 books that I had said I was planning on trying to get to for this readathon. And to be honest, this was not, okay, it was like successful, but then not really that successful of a reading week for me because I did get to most of the books, fortunately, but a lot of them were kind of disappointing. There were a couple of DNFs, so let's get into the books and let's talk about them. This is just going to be in random order as I pick them up. So the first one here is Clara Callan by Richard B. Wright. I explained in my TBR video for this month how I got this Richard Wright confused with the other author I know who's Richard Wright, and I decided, well, I'll just read this book anyway and see if I like it or not. So this one is, it takes place I think in like the 30s, yeah, and we're following 2 different sisters, and it was okay. I gave it 3 stars. It wasn't bad, to be honest. This was I think this was one of the better ones that I actually read for the week, but it was okay. It was good. It's kind of forgetful. I'm probably not gonna, I mean, it doesn't compel me to read more books by this author. We're following the 2 sisters. It's told in epistolary form, so we're getting diary entries from Clara, who's the main sister. She's the older one, and her letters back and forth with her sister Nora, as well as with a couple other people that are brought into the story. They're 2 sisters who are living on their own in this house. Both of their parents passed away, and it's like in this small town I think that they live in. And anyway, the younger sister Nora moves to New York, I think it was, yeah, to be like a voice actor, and we're reading their exchanges back and forth. Like, their relationship as siblings was interesting to watch as well. A lot of things happened in this book, and topics and subjects were touched on that I didn't expect. I went back and forth with listening to the audiobook for this one. They had it on Scribd, which was the only place I could find it, but what was interesting is it was an abridged audiobook, so I was trying to follow along with the book at the same time, so I'd have to like pause the audiobook, go back, and then like read whatever they left out of the book. So that was a little bit annoying, but all in all, like, I'm glad that I got to this book. I'm probably not gonna like hold on to it. I wouldn't highly recommend it. I know it's won like some awards and stuff, so a lot of people do like this book, so I feel like give this a chance if this is something that you were interested in reading. So the next 2 books are both by the same author, and that is Skinfolk by Neil Hopkinson, and her other book I have is Brown Girl in the Ring. So one of these was a DNF and the other one was 3 stars. So I'll talk about the one that I finished first. So first I read Skinfolk. This one is a short story collection, and I gave it 3 stars. With short story collections, it's kind of hard to rate because there's some that I really did like, and there were some that I thought were just like okay. So that was true for this short story collection. There were some that I did like and some that I kind of were more forgettable. But with this short story collection, she has these like fantastical elements in them. It has science fiction to Caribbean folklore. I feel like this is a book where if you're into short stories, then this is probably something that you'll be into. It's not my favorite short story collection I've ever read, but there were some really good ones in here. The other one, which unfortunately I didn't finish, was Brown Girl in the Ring. So I don't even remember now how far I got into this one. Maybe like 80 to 100, around 80-ish pages into the book. This was kind of like towards the end of the week, and I wasn't like super invested into the characters, so it's kind of, I mean, I didn't really read a whole bunch to like give you guys a complete synopsis on this book, but it's kind of like a dystopian book. See, even the back of the book is very vague on the description of what it's about. I think if I had maybe looked into it a little bit more and read more into what it was about, it's probably one I wouldn't have picked up as much. But we're following our main character, Tijan. She is a mom, she has her kid, and She has just moved back in with her mother, I believe. She doesn't have a relationship with the baby's dad, but he's kind of like around a little bit, but it's like this dystopian weird world. Like I said, I wish I could give you a little bit more detail on this book, but I didn't read a whole bunch of it. But the reason I personally put it down for myself was because there's a lot of stuff the book was getting into that I didn't really want to read. Like, they're basically, her and the her baby daddy are trying to run away from these like mobster type people, and then the girl's mother is going to do this like ritual thing that will make them invisible so that they can not be seen when they're running away. But then it like gets really into it. It's like 100 pages and things were happening I didn't want to read about, like, you know, rituals and stuff, and I was like, I'd rather pass on this. So yeah, for that reason I did not get into this book. But I do like her writing. In this book, when I was reading the short stories, it made me excited to read other books by her. So I think I just need to find the right Nayla Hopkinson book for me. But yeah, when it comes to like rituals and people speaking in tongues and voices coming out and stuff, I don't mess with that kind of stuff. We're following a young girl. She's Congolese, so she's living in Canada, and she, I think her parents are immigrants. It's kind of following her during that critical coming of age time. There is a lot of sexual references in this book, just like a warning for that. We follow her from like 12 to in her like mid-20s, I believe, and her relationships with her friend, her family. All in all, I thought it was okay. It wasn't like super memorable for me, but I did like the author's writing, so if she comes out with any other books, I will definitely be picking them up. Then the next book was also a DNF for me. I didn't finish this one, and that's Oryx and Crake by Margaret Atwood. This is another, I don't know, dystopian kind of book as well. This is the first in actually a trilogy. It's called the Mad Adam trilogy, and right now I'm being really picky with books that I choose to read and spend my time on. In this book, I just wasn't into it, and I didn't want to force myself to, because I don't even have the rest of the books in the series anyway, and it just didn't really interest me. So for me, this is the second Margaret Atwood book that I didn't finish. The other one was The Blind Assassin. But I did read The Handmaid's Tale, and I liked that one. And I read The Testaments, and I didn't think that one was bad either. So I'm kind of like 50-50 on her books. So I feel like I need to read like maybe one or two more by her before I decide whether she's an author I'm going to keep or continue to read from. I didn't get as far into this book. So I was listening to the audiobook, and I tried reading it physically, and just neither of them were really doing anything for me. I just didn't feel interested in the plot or care what was happening to the characters. And I probably made it to around like, I don't know, 40-ish pages in, and I just wasn't feeling it, and I didn't want to force myself to continue. So we're following the main character. His name is Snowman, and I don't know, I didn't get far enough to really be able to fully explain, like, you know, the whole world that this takes place in. All I know is that so mankind has been overtaken by this plague, and I think he thinks that he's like the last man on earth, but I don't know. I didn't even get to that part in the book. We were kind of doing more like flashbacks and stuff with his family, I believe, in the beginning part. It was very confusing. I feel like this is a book you would have to get. I feel like this book is one that probably won't make sense until you get to the end, maybe, or maybe further on in the series, but I don't know. Nothing about it was just compelling to me enough to actually finish it, so I wasn't going to force myself. And then the last book that I finished during that week was Room by Emma Donoghue. I rarely will read a book after I already watched the movie. So I watched the movie for this years ago, and I really liked the movie. I remember I think I picked this up at like Target one time, the book, and I looked at it, and it's told from the perspective of a 5-year-old in this book. So that's something that's different. Not everybody's interested into that, especially when it is an adult fiction told from the perspective of a child. It's definitely very interesting and experimental for the author to do, but it's not my favorite type of storytelling, I guess. So I gave this one 3 stars. I will definitely be open to reading other books by Emma Donoghue because I want to see what she does when she's writing from an adult perspective. But all in all, this was a very interesting story, and like I said, the movie was really good, but I don't know, maybe if I had read the book first and watched the movie I would feel differently, but that's just how I feel. We're following two main characters. Jack is the one that we're following the perspective of, and his mother, and they live in this very tiny like shack type thing, and his whole world has been in there. He's never left before. I'm not really sure how much I should say, like, without giving away spoilers. I think it's easier if I just go with what the book says. So, Room is the story of Ma and Jack. They live in a single locked room. 5-year-old Jack loves watching TV, but he knows that nothing he sees on the screen is truly real, only him and Ma and the things in the room. Until the day Ma admits there's a world outside. So, definitely, when I watched this book, when I watched the movie, oh my, when I watched the movie for this, it was very emotional. I did cry when I watched the movie, but I don't think I really got emotional with the book because I already knew what was going to be happening. But this book has a pretty good rating on Goodreads, so if it's something that you were interested in, don't make me hold you back from picking it up. It's just the perspective of reading from the 5-year-old that for some people they really like it, and for some people they don't care as much for it. And I feel like for me, I just kind of fell somewhere in the middle. The last book that I picked up for the Read-A-Thon was A Tale for the Time Being, and it's one that I'm currently reading. I just didn't have enough time to finish it during the week because that was like 7 books altogether. Even though I didn't finish all of them, I spent a lot of time reading last week. Like, that was successful to get through that many books in 1 week for me. And then with this one, currently about halfway into it, so I will definitely be finishing up the rest of it soon. Similar to Clara Callan, this one is a book that is partially told in, well, it's not epistolary. Maybe I'm saying that wrong because let me rewind what I was trying to say. Did I even say the author's name? I can't remember now. Okay, so this is by Ruth Ozeki, A Tale for the Time Being. This is told right now. Well, I'm trying to give you guys like my whole review on this, not even having finished this book. But we're following 2 perspectives. So Ruth, she lives on this beach home in British Columbia. They're on the beach one day. She finds washed up, wrapped in some plastic trash bags, I believe it was, is a diary from a young girl, and it's from, I think, the 2011 tsunami in Japan. So half of we go back and forth from the diary entries and with Ruth's perspective. And I think what this book, while I like the writing, one thing this book is suffering from is where you're telling 2 stories in different perspectives, and one is more interesting than the other. I will say Ruth, which I just now realized her main character and the author's name are the same, that her storyline is like a little bit more boring, I guess I would say. There's not, I don't know, it's just not as interesting, compelling to read as the diary entries that we're reading from Now, I think her name was. And there's a lot of circumstantial things that happen in the book that you're like, that doesn't sound like it's the most realistic, but sure, we'll just go with it. But anyway, I'll give you guys my full thoughts and opinions on this once I actually finish the book. So those are all the books that I read for the Read-A-Thon. Let me know if you guys participated in it or not. Was it successful? Like I said, I kind of count this week as being halfway successful, halfway not, just because I got through quantity-wise a lot of books, but quality-wise it was a little bit lacking, but that's gonna happen sometimes. It's not like I'm gonna say I'm never gonna read a Canadian author again, because I have read other books by Canadian authors that I really do enjoy. These are all books I would have eventually gotten to anyway that have been sitting on my shelf. Some of these have been sitting on my shelf for quite a while, so it was nice to get through some of these. So I think that's it for this video. I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!